So yesterday we discussed about certain viruses. Yeah. Yesterday viruses பத்தி பார்த்தோம்ல, அது கூடவே இன்னொரு வைரஸ் இருக்கு, Zika virus. Last year faggot of 2021, Zika virus was also found. How does Zika virus spread? Zika virus it spreads through the bite of mosquito. It spreads through the bite of mosquito. Aedes aegypti mosquito and Aedes albopictus mosquito bite. The Aedes mosquito, the Aedes mosquitoes are very prominent, and Aedes mosquitoes are very important because these mosquitoes are they bite human beings both day and night. By now they are more freshwater mosquitoes. That is the reason why the water storage, waste water waste water, particularly water coolers, air coolers. Air coolers, toilet closets, we have water stagnating. Yeah, stagnant water. So that is the Aedes mosquito danger. The main problem of Zika virus is that we don't have any medicine, nor we have any vaccination. And its spreading is also very prominent. ரொம்ப prominent spread ஆகும் because mosquito bite சொல்லவே முடியாது. Yeah, mosquito bite you cannot say. But dengue, the Aedes mosquito எதுக்கெல்லாம் வெக்டார்னு பார்த்தோம். The Aedes mosquito, mosquito as such is a vector for many diseases. For example, malaria mosquito is a vector, filariasis mosquito is a vector, Zika mosquito is a vector. So இதெல்லாம் protozoan diseases, viral diseases பார்த்துக்கோங்க. And virus, be careful. What are the different types of virus and bacteria? Science lab. அப்புறம் Zika virus ஓட symptoms, அதாவது நோய்கள் இப்ப நிறைய வந்துச்சு இல்லையா, அதுல symptoms பார்த்துக்கோங்க. Sometimes symptoms are also asked. In the past, sometimes they have asked about the symptoms of various diseases. In the disease ke edella symptoms irukku. For example, HIV symptoms கேட்கலாம். இது எங்க போய் பார்க்கிறது அப்படின்னா ரொம்ப சிம்பிள். You can go to NCERT book, கொடுக்குது. NCERT bookல இருக்கு. NCERT or CBSE booksல we have the symptoms of these diseases இருக்கு. Zika virus பெரும்பாலும் main problem of Zika virus is that most of the cases it is asymptomatic. That is dangerous. Zika, if you are infected with Zika virus na, at least நீ இருக்கிற ஏரியால அந்த கொசு இருக்குன்னு அர்த்தம். நான் precaution எடுக்கணும்னா I should know that you are suffering from Zika. பெரும்பாலும் most of the cases it is asymptomatic and has very very mild symptoms. இப்ப நீங்க சொன்னால அவங்க நம்பர் எனக்கு ஃபீவரிஷா இருக்கு அப்படின்னு நம்ம உடனே என்ன தோணுச்சு, immediately we thought that COVID இருக்கும். உடனே COVID டெஸ்ட்ல எடுத்தான், நெகட்டிவ்னு வந்துருச்சு. Zika டெஸ்ட் எடுத்தியா, டெங்கு டெஸ்ட் எடுத்தியா? எனக்கு வந்ததுல டிசம்பர் அந்த டைம்ல ஆக்சுவலா எனக்கு வந்தது கோவிடா டெங்குவானே தெரியாது. பிகாஸ் எல்லாம் நெகட்டிவ், டெஸ்ட்ல எல்லாம் நெகட்டிவ். அட்லீஸ்ட் ஃபார் டெங்கு we have a time tested test. ஆக்சுவலா நீங்களாம் தைரியமா என் கூட சுத்தி இருக்கீங்க. ஆக்சுவலா எனக்கு கோவிடா தான் இருக்கணும், பிகாஸ் டெங்கு இல்ல. அட் தட் டைம் டெங்கு வாஸ் ஸ்ப்ரெடிங். அதே மாதிரி it was also told that Omicron is escaping the RT-PCR test. Omicron was escaping RT-PCR. And I did not have a positive report with respect to RT-PCR, nor did I test positive to dengue. So well, more likely you to say I must have got COVID. Zika in Tamil Nadu, it was more prominent in coastal areas of Kerala and Maharashtra. But all these things got overlooked because of too much of preoccupation with COVID. So Zika no problem. Again, the major symptoms, most common symptoms of Zika virus was The infection of Zika virus was fever, headache, joint pains, red eyes, muscle pain, and rashes. Yeah. Many a time, because of this asymptomatic reaction and people not falling sick, causes death. Is one of the main reasons for death caused by Zika. Zika உள்ள பெரிய dangerous aspect தான். Fundamentally, people don't fall sick. அதனால இப்ப நம்ம பார்க்க வேண்டியது what are all the aspects relating to viruses. என்னெல்லாம் viruses வந்தது, what are the different types of viruses that came, what are the different types of diseases caused by viruses, and for which of the diseases we have vaccination. And more importantly, also try to understand what is a vaccine. You have it in the NCERT books. NCERT, your state board books, whatever books, school books, just go and search for the school books and understand what is a vaccine. How is vaccine developed? That is enough. How does it work? And virus, what are structures and types? So we have COVID, we have Nipah, we have Zika. Two type of viruses they have come. So next aspect of India's first multi-dimensional adventure sports expedition. The multi-dimensional sports expedition, a few kilometers they go for trekking, then they go for cycling, then they go for paragliding or parajumping. அதுக்கப்புறமா they go for scuba diving. அந்த மாதிரி different events being done in sequence without gap is called as multi-dimensional sports expedition. India the first time we have undertaken the multi-dimensional sports expedition. It was done in collaboration with French organization. The French organization the French organization the National Institute of Mountaineering and Allied Sports. The National Institute of Mountaineering and Allied Sports. அதுதான் முக்கியம். The National Institute of Mountaineering and Allied Sports does not belong to India, it belongs to France. So the importance of the news is it is first multi-dimensional adventure sports for India and was led by the Director of NIMAS, National Institute of Mountaineering and Allied Sports, belonging to France. They had taken the trekking in the Alps. They have covered through Europe. They covered through English Channel, France, Switzerland, Belgium, and they reached the Mediterranean Sea, where they took the scuba diving and hoisted the tricolor. Now, geography of that region. Alps, world geography, Alps mountains, where it begins, where it ends. And don't go deeper into European geography. Just understand Alps order. And it is better to understand the mountains in Europe. What are the various mountains that are found in Europe? Because of Ural Mountains, Russia region is in trouble now. Most probably, this time the questions, if they are asking, they may ask from geography, European geography. River systems, mountains, environmental aspects, கேட்கலாம். wrong. Either it will be asked or it will be left. Because the question may be reserved for mains. Russia-Ukraine war, Belgian refugee crisis, then India's first multidimensional adventure sports expedition. Better. So it may be either asked, it may be reserved for your mains, or it may be, if at all they are asking in the prelims, they may go to geography. Better. And I don't suppose there is any other possibility for question. Let me think. Science, no possibility. Geography and environment, yes. Politically, yes. Political questions. And there were elections to Netherlands. There were elections to Germany. Germany, there was an election. Netherlands, there was election. And where all elections took place. So politically, they may ask you these questions. NATO we'll see later. Ukraine war taniya paapom. We'll cover NATO also. Which are all the countries who were belonging to European countries who have joined NATO. And then NATO is also very much in news because of the Ukrainian crisis is because of NATO. Right? Next, Jan Shatabdi Express. This is in the news. It is nothing. But remember, the first Jan Shatabdi Express connecting Manipur and Tripura through Assam was flagged off. 2022, first Manipur to Tripura. So that area mapped. What is project? I mean, what is Hira model? What is Hira model? Prime Minister best Hira model. Hira means diamond in Hindi. Highway, internet, railways, and airways. Connecting the country through Hira model. Highways, internet, railways, and airways. The Hira model, because the Hira model was in news covered in Jan Shatabdi Express with respect to Manipur Tripura connectivity. Manipur and Tripura are connected. You have to go through the map again. Geography or just arrangement of the states from east to west, north to south of the northeastern states. Now, the northeastern states, along with Sikkim, they have started calling it as Anti-Ballistic states. Seven sisters in the government, they are preferring to call the northeastern states, northeastern region, which falls under the Ministry of Donor, the Ministry for Development of the northeastern region, which includes Sikkim also. Though Sikkim is not a northeastern state, Sikkim is also included under the Ministry of Donor, and so they 7 northeastern states plus Sikkim, they call it as Anti-Ballistic states. Connectivity. Again, this area is coming in news. Take care of the geography again. Geography and environment. Geography and environment. Himalayas of west and Himalayas of east, both are in news. While Pir Panjal, Zojila, Anga news Inga again Tripura, Himalayan states are in news. Manipur, Meghalaya, Ellam news. Northeastern states are vibrantly in news. Nagaland 50th year statehood. So take care of the geography. And the map full up. Go to the atlas, take the map. Just a minute. Check it was available. Possibly you can also have the atlas with you when you come to the class. Atlas Let me share a map in the group, Telegram group. Take that map. See, but now I think you can see the arrangement of the states. So Tripura shares borders with Assam and Mizoram. Only two northeastern states with which it shares border is Assam and Mizoram. So via Assam, Manipur is connected. Right up. Here, what I'm trying to tell you is, try to understand various, not only this, also the vegetation. Also vegetation and river forms. Rivers, geography in Varumbodhu, always try to understand the map, arrangement of the provinces, river systems, mountains, flora, fauna. The 5 vishayam. This 5 is enough. 4 is enough. When it comes to India, try to understand if there was any national parks. Try to understand if there was any national parks. National parks, there are certain national parks and wildlife related laws which are either celebrating 25th year or 75th or 50th year. Wildlife Crime Control Act. Wildlife Crime Control Act. Day for yesterday also we were discussing about something regarding that. Chandra, money. WP Act, how many years? How many years? When was it elected? 1972, 50 years. WP Act is 1972, 50 years. That's what I'm telling you. Geography pata, map, arrangement of the provinces, river systems, mountains, and then the landscaping, topographical aspects of that. Upper environmental aspects like flora, fauna. In case any environmental issues there, that issue, which will come under the topography itself. And Indian system, if there was any national parks. Just go through them. And these are all very simple. You take your atlas, you can get all these informations. You take your atlas. One more thing I can add. Mineral resources. Resources is there. Resources and tribes. When 7 aspects go. Instead of 5, you can make it as 7. The 7 question. The questions could be only within these 7 aspects. Geography. You can go check the 7 are. And most of these informations will be, even a simple school atlas can supply these informations to you. You don't have to work, you don't have to bend backwards. Simply with atlas you can revise this. Right up. Fine. So HERA model, HERA model is highways information way, all the internet, railways and airways. Highway, internet, railways and airways is HERA model. I mean, today in public application group, I have shared one VAB link that is meant for group. Maybe Viewgum group. Viewgum group share but Viewgum share. Because that is important for the role of civil society. During the COVID time, there was a call given by the Prime Minister, namely the vocal for local. Vocal for local. From globalization to localization. அது ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. That can be asked in the mains this time. இது மார்க் பண்ணி வச்சுக்கோங்க. Vocal for local campaign. Vocal for local campaign means either in public administration or in general studies, governance. All right, say next. Veer Bal Divas. You know what is Veer Bal Divas? Pathingala, Veer Bal Divas. Guru Gobind Singh. Guru Gobind Singh's sons were killed. He had Guru Gobind Singh was a 10th and last Guru of Sikh. He had four children. 2 children were killed in war, and another 2 younger children were they were bricked to death. Bricked to death means they were lively. Our samadhi was built over them when they were alive, and after 2 or 3 days and the samadhi break open panni, even the body was not given. And finally வந்து தோடர்மால் தான் வந்து he used to conduct a funeral for cremation and funeral for the 2 children of Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th and last Guru. Right? அதனால just go through. அதுல 2 விஷயம். The Prime Minister this year announced the birthday of Guru Gobind Singh as Prakash Puram. He announced it to be December 26th, birthday of Guru Gobind Singh. It was to be considered as Prakash Puram. Whereas the day on which the 2 children of Guru Gobind Singh were bricked to death, December 12th, is being celebrated as Veer Bal Divas. Veer Bal Divas na the brave children. Newspaper la paathukonga Veer Bal Divas போடுறாங்க. Newspaper la வந்து VEER BAL னு போடுறாங்க, தப்பு. அது மீனிங்கே மாறிடும். It's not Veer Bal Divas, it's Veer Bal Divas. ரைட்டா? சரி, அப்போ இதுல ஃபத்தேகட் சாஹிப் குருத்வாரா, then Sirhindoda Mughal Fauzdar and Guru Gobind Singh and the Sikh Mughal war, order of the Sikh Gurus. So who was the Mughal ruler when Guru Gobind Singh was alive? Aurangzeb. So was he killed by Aurangzeb? Or did Guru Gobind Singh die? History. Get to know, recall whatever you have studied as part of history. In history, you must have definitely studied reform. Sikhism வந்து படிப்பீங்கல்ல. After Guru Gobind Singh, that is Guru Granth. Adi Granth became the Guru, and no more there is Guru Khalsa. Though it is a political move, keeping an eye on the Punjab elections, but this is going to be celebrated every year here and after. So take care of this. So Veer Bal Divas, December 26th, on which December 26th will be Veer Bal Divas, and your birthday. I'm sorry, the birthday of Guru Gobind Singh was to be celebrated as Prakash Puram. Prakash Puram. Prakash Puram. They also celebrated it. Prakash Puram again it is ரீசெண்டா செலிப்ரேட் பண்ண நேத்திக்கு முந்தானால செலிப்ரேட் பண்ணாங்க. 400th Prakash Purab of Guru Tegh Bahadur. 400th anniversary where Prakash Purab was celebrated. 401st birth anniversary of Guru Tegh Bahadur, the 9th Guru. Guru Tegh Bahadur Prakash Purab. இவரோடது குரு கோவிந்த் சிங்கோடது 400th கிடையாது. அதனால குரு தேக் பகதூரும் பார்க்கணும். 9th குரு you should see because his 400th birth anniversary இந்த வருஷம். குரு தேக் குரு கோவிந்த் சிங்கோட birth anniversary as well as இது வீர் பால் திவஸ். So go to Sikhism, different aspects of Sikhism, different gurus of Sikhism, historical aspects and battles. Sikh Mughal conflict. That should also be taken, right? Okay. Check. Next. By the way, next I wanted you to see something, right? What did I ask you to see? I gave you 4 things to see and remember. I told you we'll consolidate those 4 things and then go. Chunana? What are the 4 aspects?
National health policy. Popular leaders. And the chronology. 2023 chronology events. 70th independence related schemes.
What are the different schemes that are? Have you gone through that?
The COVID related virus related and the echo testing.
Have you gone through that? Have you gone through that? Everyone, those are online, have you gone through that?
Yes, sir.
Those are online, have you checked it?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Cherry. Next there are a set of missiles. S-400 Triumph missile system. This was a long range surface to air missile. What are the types of missiles and what type missile is it? It is a surface to air missile developed by Russia. But NATO calls it as SA-21 Growler actually. Considered to be way ahead of American theater high altitude area defense. But it has a multifunctional, that's okay. Systems it can engage all types of aerial targets like aircraft, ballistic missiles, and cruise missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles within the range of 400 kilometers and at an altitude up to 30 kilometers. Why is it in use? Sandro. Why is this in news?
Recent second batch missiles in the later exam. 1 week.
So India is acquiring this missile. இது என்னன்னா what does it mean? Why is it important? It is a theater missile defense system. It's an anti-missile missile. It is a surface to air missile and an anti-missile missile. That's why we told it can engage aircrafts, unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as ballistic and cruise missiles. It is an unmanned. It can engage. America is developing THAAD systems. American systems sometimes called as THAAD system. Terminal high altitude area defense. This is long back. This system was long back developed. This is a history. In 1969, when there was a Cuban missile crisis, when Russia was capable of smuggling few missiles into Cuba and install those missile systems in Cuba, whereby Russia can easily attack USA in case of any eventuality. So that resulted in, that is what is called as Cuban Missile Crisis of 1969. And aftermath of Cuban Missile Crisis, the Cold War began to come to an end. Immediately after Second World War, an ideological and economic economic Cold War between USA and USSR began. 1945 ஆரம்பிச்சு almost 1969 and Cold War has multiple dimensions. Economic dimension capitalism versus socialism. Politically, it is left and right. State-led development and market-led development. And defense areas like NATO and Warsaw Pact. Space, there was a war. Space war. Russia space they had continuous war, and Cuban Missile Crisis was bringing the Cold War to a type of an end. Because USA understood that no more USA is safe and USA is within the reach of Russia. After that, they began to focus on the concept of BOT or MAD, the balance of terror and mutually agreed destruction. So you can destroy me and I can destroy you. As a result, we'll try to balance the terror. And so they went in for treaty and negotiations. And the negotiation now on the start. Start and salt and start and so on. Strategic arms limitation talks. Outcome of strategic arms limitation talks was start. Strategic arms start and salt padam pathirpinga engineer na solli mattum paatundinga. Salt nu oru padam vanchu pathiriya SALT adu padam SALT irukadhu S.A.L.T irukum edhima. You know the Salt movie or not? You know the Salt movie? What is it movie about?
Russian inspired.
Actually, what during Salt, after you said something. Sorry.
The Russian inspired when the thinking cells and all that. Related to the code. What related to code?
So actually, what KGB was doing, KGB enna பண்ணுவாங்கனா, they will create Russian Americans. The Russian Americans. Adhaadu KGB will send Russian women or Russian men to USA, train them, get them married to American women, or get Russian women to get married to American men, give birth to children, and those children were brought up in the American system, and secretly they'll be trained as spies right from childhood, and they'll be trained and they'll be assisted and they'll be made to occupy various positions in American government. அதுல ஒருத்தனை பிடிப்பாங்க. அதுல Angelina Jolie used to be one of the Russian American. She was the one who under this total scandal, அதான் படம் ஆரம்பிக்கும். And it ends up that she herself was a Russian American. Other SALT, Strategic Arms Limitation Talks, outcome is Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. It is Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, as well as Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty of 1972. The Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty of 1972, 50 years achadu. அது என்னன்னா, the anti-ballistic missile treaty is like both Russia and America entered into agreement stating that neither of the countries will develop missile systems so that the balance of terror remains. If Russia has a missile system that can tackle the missile from America, then Russia will not fear America. Supposing if America has developed that kind of a system, if Russia strikes a missile against America and America has another missile system like S-400 Triumph, that missile can be destroyed. America will not fear Russia. So to maintain the balance of terror, they mutually agreed that they will not. Welding so the balance of terror must be there. Neither of the countries must lose that. Neither of the countries must lose the advantage. That's the balance of terror concept. By 1987, when Soviet Union broke down, America began to develop that anti-ballistic missiles. Patriot, first missile. 1991, it was used in Kuwait War. The Patriot missiles, anti-missile missiles were used first in the 1991 Kuwait War. Aprama US என்ன ட்ரை பண்ணாங்கன்னா, they tried to create a theater missile defense system. A theater missile defense system என்னன்னா, it's a comprehensive system. There are defense satellites. And there will be different defense satellites placed in different areas. Those satellites will monitor US as well as specific countries. If there was any country that is striking missile against US, if any country is striking a missile against US, the satellites will sense them and immediately they will trigger accordingly. And there will be a battery of missiles placed in different areas. Police control room, which is a low, the Kaval and App, which is the nearest point. The anti-ballistic missile will be shot and that missile will be destroyed in space itself. And many a time you might have come across in the news, command, control, communication, battle management and intelligence. BMC3I. BMC3I. India is also developing BMC3I. Number capability BMC3I capability. If you go to India's nuclear policy, we have something called as no first use policy and second strike capability. Credible minimum deterrence. CMD. India calls it as credible minimum deterrence. Actually, credible minimum deterrence is nothing but credible maximum deterrence. Credible minimum deterrence policy of India says that if India was subjected to nuclear attack, India should have the capability to withstand that attack and inflict unimaginable or unacceptable damages to the aggressor. This is the policy solution. For that, you require command, control, communication, intelligence, and battle management systems. It's everything, right? I hope it's clear to you. Right? சரி. திருப்பி மெயின்ஸுக்கு வந்து பார்த்துக்கோங்க, நேவல் டாக்டரின் அண்ட் டிஃபென்ஸ் பாலிசியில இந்தியா அடுத்து நம்ம பார்ப்போம், நெக்ஸ்ட் பார்க்கும்போது வரும். ஐ டெல் யூ. ஸோ இதான் வந்து தியேட்டர் மிசைல் டிஃபென்ஸ் சிஸ்டம் சொல்றது. ஐ ஹோப் யூ அண்டர்ஸ்டுட் வாட் இஸ் தியேட்டர் மிசைல் டிஃபென்ஸ் சிஸ்டம். அண்ட் தியேட்டர் மிசைல் டிஃபென்ஸ் சிஸ்டம் தான் தாட் சிஸ்டம். One of the aspects is called as THAAD system, terminal high altitude area defense. High altitude defense is at the space itself, one whole area. It's like, imagine a huge carpet, digitalized and technological carpet, which can repel all the missiles that are struck against India. That's that. US is trying to do that. And Ukraine war is the main reason. NATO or Ukraine becoming part of NATO, US has promised to install THAAD system, cover the European NATO countries in Europe also under the THAAD system, which Russia does not accept. So, NATO expansion on a main problem is that Russia does not want NATO at its doorsteps. This is the reason. Deterrence already with the demise of Soviet Union, the anti-ballistic missile treaty has become irrelevant and invalid. That's the reason why America is developing this. Russia developed missiles. The balance of terror concept is no more there. No more that balance of terror is there. So Russia does not want NATO to be at its doorsteps. So theater missile defense, NATO is mainly impact of expansion of NATO into, and whether NATO is relevant as such. Whether NATO is relevant. Mains. The mains can be asked. Fine. Next. INS Vikrant. So India now has only one aircraft carrier, INS Vikramaditya. That is a King class aircraft carrier that was bought. That's not indigenous. Whereas INS Vikrant is the first indigenous aircraft carrier, which has now become operational. It has taken two successful sea trials. There are two successful sea trials at the time. And it is indigenous aircraft carrier 1, IAC 1. It was built by the Cochin Shipyard Limited. And it is said that it is an icon of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Its construction began in 2009. And by 2021, it was completed. 2021, it took its first sea trial. And 2022, it has taken second sea trial and has almost become operational. So, INS Vikramaditya, INS Vikrant. In the mains, again, there is a question. Is it really worthwhile for India to go to have aircraft carrier? India interview for candidates. What's the purpose of this? And after the Moscow hit, after the Moscow, you know what is Moscow? Energy. Russia's 7th fleet, very important Russia's aircraft carrier, and one of the largest ships of Russian Navy, was hit by, Ukraine claims that they have hit it, but Russia says that it was an accident. One of the ammunitions blasted accidentally blasted, and that caused the fire on board. Russia would stand. Whereas Ukraine says, no, we have an missile. Neptune cruise missile. Ukraine என்ன சொல்லுதுன்னா our Neptune cruise missile is very powerful, it has hit Moscow. இதுல எல்லாம் என்னன்னா யாருக்குமே உண்மை தெரியாது. நம்ம 2 பேர் சொல்லி நியூஸா படிச்சுட்டு போக வேண்டியதான். நமக்கு வேண்டியது நெப்டியூன் மிசைல் என்ன, நம்ம பரீட்சைக்கு என்ன கேட்கலாம், வாட் இஸ் ஐஎன்எஸ் விக்ராந்த், வாட் இஸ் நெப்டியூன் மிசைல், ட்ரையம்ஃப் S-400 என்னது, அது இதுல கேட்டா என்ன கேட்கலாம்னா வெதர் இட் இஸ் சர்ஃபேஸ் டு ஏர் மிசைலா, சர்ஃபேஸ் டு சர்ஃபேஸ் மிசைலா, ஆன்டி மிசைல் மிசைலா, இதுதான் கேட்க முடியும். மிசைல்ஸ் பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் வாட் டைப் ஆஃப் மிசைல் இஸ் இட், வாட் வுட் பி இட்ஸ் ரேஞ்ச், இண்டிஜினியஸா எங்க இருந்து வந்து, இது 2 தான் 3 தான் மிசைல்ஸ். தீஸ் ஆர் தி 3 aspects they can ask. ரைட்டா? Neptune missiles in use, Triumph S-400 is in use. அப்புறம் INS விக்ராந்த். இப்போ INS விக்ராந்த்ல வந்து மெயின் கொஸ்டின் என்னன்னா, is it worthwhile for India to have such aircraft carriers which are very very expensive? What's the total cost of this? INS விக்ராந்த் பில் பண்றதுக்கு எவ்வளவு செலவு இருக்கும்? அட பாவி, அவ்வளவு அதோட கம்மின்னு சொல்றியா? அவன் ஒரு பாரு 7,000 இன்னும் மேல, அதுக்கும் மேல. Just see the cost of building one aircraft carrier, 23,000 crores, and what will be its operational cost? Now we claim that INS Vikrant and INS Vikramaditya இப்போ வந்து என்ன பிளேஸ் பண்ணிருக்காங்கன்னா, INS Vikrant will be placed in the east coast, whereas INS Vikramaditya will be guarding west coast. இப்போ ஒரு ஏர்கிராஃப்ட் கேரியர்னா அப்படி கிடையாது, அது கூட ஒரு ஃப்ரிகேட்ஸ் வரும், fleet of ships இருக்கணும், frigates இருக்கணும், வேற different classes of naval boats and ships should be there as an allied version. இப்போ இது வந்து எத்தனை ஃபுட்பால் கிரவுண்டுக்கு ஈக்குவல்? 262 meters long. 262 meters long. அது length 262 meters. ஒரு 4 ஃபுட்பால் கிரவுண்டு, 4 ஃபுட்பால் கிரவுண்ட், அவ்வளோ பெரிய ஏர்கிராஃப்ட் கேரியர்லாம் நம்ம வச்சிருக்கிறதுக்கு இஸ் இட் ரியலி வர்த் வைல் when India is suffering from, when India needs money, is it right approach? அப்படி அவசியங்க. சோத்து வழியில உனக்கு எது BMW இருக்காரு? You don't have money to purchase your lunch, but you drive a BMW. Is it worthwhile? So this can be a question, more likely for interview, but in the mains also this can be given as an analysis in governance. Allocation of funds and allocation of plans for defense. Is it worthwhile to increase the spending for defense? Is it something that is called upon for a modern welfare state? Is it right approach given the pandemic and economic resurgence? Fine, let's go. It's important, right? For your mains. You may not know that why this question is out of the blue asked, because in the budget what is the spend? Defense spend is increased, and we are going for aircraft carrier which is proven to be unworthy. It's proven to be unworthy, but it is symbolic. Having 7,500 cost to guard, if you don't have an aircraft carrier, what is the need for aircraft carrier when you have guided missiles? எல்லா questions பார்த்துக்கோ, அப்புறமா நம்ம மெயின்ஸ்க்கு வரும்போது we'll discuss it in detail, right? But for the prelims, what is INS Vikrant? அது மட்டும் தான் நியூஸ், வேற எதுவும் தேவையில்லை. And missiles பொறுத்தவரைக்கும், as I already told you, what is its range, whether what type of missile is it, from where it is. If it was developed indigenously, who developed it, which organization? இங்க Cochin Shipyard Limited பார்த்துக்கணும். A naval physical and oceanographic laboratory, which is a DRDO facility, which is located in Kochi. Cochin Shipyard, Naval Physical and Oceanographic Laboratory. I hope it's clear to you, right? The statement type questions like India has 3 aircraft carriers, 2 aircraft carriers. Already we had one aircraft carrier which was converted into Naval Museum. What was it? INS Virat. Right? Sure. Next, General Bipin Rawat. So, as General Bipin Rawat, because it's too obvious a thing. Why he becomes important? Because he is the first chief of defense staff. He died. He died out of helicopter crash. But the most important point is he is the first chief of defense staff. We created the chief of defense staff office in the year 2019. And Bipin Rawat was appointed as, he took over as the chief of defense staff, as the first chief of defense staff. This alone is enough. Beyond that, details, much of details may not be asked in the prelims. And main support, we don't have any big scope. Chief of Defense Staff in order to, department was also created. Department of Military Affairs. He was a secretary, ex-officio secretary to Department of Military Affairs as well. Along with the post of Chief of Defense Staff, DMA was also created, Department of Military Affairs, which was also created. And the Chief of Defense Staff will be the ex-officio secretary to Department of Military Affairs. See, this idea of Chief of Defense Staff is only to coordinate between all the 3 armed forces as well as the government of India. See, this basically, democracy as a matter of principle operates on the basis of defense being subordinated to civil. The defense being subordinated to civil. Defense being subordinated to civil. The defense forces must be subordinated to civil forces. Right now. So, on the the 3 chiefs of armed forces, they had problem with coordination with the defense secretaries. The defense forces are to be subordinated. Long back in 1999, I suppose, Admiral Ramdas was the chief of Navy staff. He had a problem, or he had a conflict with the defense personnel, as well as I'm forgetting the name. of Chief of Army Staff. Certain files were put up to the certain demands were raised by the armed forces, but those files were rejected by or queries were raised by officers in the Defense Ministry of the rank of Under Secretary and Deputy Secretary, who happened to be IAS officers. Chief of Army Staff and Chief of Defense Staff took it very, very personal. We are officers of the rank of 3-star general, 4-star general. Now ஒரு ஃபைல் போட்டா அந்த ஃபைல்ல வந்து ஒரு அண்டர் செக்ரட்டரி when you get into civil service you will be posted, your first post will be under secretary. What is my experience in service, and we are commanded by the President of India. அப்ப Admiral Ramdas ஓபனாவே கேட்டார். President வே கம்ப்ளைண்ட் பண்ணார். He went and complained to the president. He did not meet the president as President of India. He met the president. He called on the president as Commander of the Armed Forces. அப்படியே சொன்னார். Our appointment letter கேட்கும்போது he sought the appointment with the president, addressing the president not as President of India but as Commander in Chief of the Army, Indian Armed Forces. The Supreme Commander of Armed Forces under Article 53 Clause 3 says that. So he went and raised the matter to the president. This was proposed by George Fernandez, the then Defense Minister. Like the American model. In America, they have the Joint Chief of Defense Staff. Similarly, we were to also create Chief of Defense Forces, which has now been created in 2019. And General Bipin Rawat, who happened to be the first Chief of Defense Staff, he was killed. That is why this office is coming into news. Otherwise, this office does not have any relevance for current affairs. The rendu da point. Who will be the ex-officio secretary of DMA, Department of Military Affairs, and General Bipin Rawat, who was killed. Otherwise, it has no relevance. All right. Next. Next on the Startup India program. The Startup India program, you see, it's an old program. Why it is actually coming into news, Abhina? Marking the 75th year of Indian independence. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. As part of it, first ever Startup India Innovation Week was celebrated in January 2022. Again, you have to understand the idea of what is the Startup India program. Startup India program. It's a flagship program of Government of India launched in 2016 for building the innovation ecosystem and enable startups. You know what is startup? For the mains in economy. Now, for the mains in economy, understand the merits and demerits of startups. Why startup is important? I will share today the PPT of this class, wherein I have given few informations about the startups and I have shared an Indian Express link. Go to the link, save it for your mains, not for now. That show on the link and the news they have analyzed why startups are important. Why startup is important for India. The points were very relevant and very brilliant points were given. Just save the link, or if you can read it fast, you can take as a notes and put that aside. It can be asked in your mains. But for the prelims, so Startup India program, who is operating Startup India? Which ministry is nodal agent for Startup India?
MSME.
You have a Ministry of MSME.
Department of
I don't think there is any one ministry that is a nodal ministry for Startup India. Startup India is coordinated by all ministries as well as, most importantly, the DPIIT, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Sorry, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry, not Finance. Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. That's a nodal agency. Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Just see that much only is enough for your prelims. That much only is enough for your prelims, but for mains, why Startup India? I mean, startups are important for அது மட்டும் பார்த்துக்கோங்க. Hope it's clear to you. Right up. Check. Next. Minimum support price. What is minimum support price?
Government gives to the farmer for the sale of cereals and biscuits or any other points.
But I'm corrected. It's there. Check. On the system, it's connected. I think it's come, right? Yeah. Nitish.
So minimum support price is the minimum price which the government provides to farmers for their sale, for their product sale. Just in case if they met with some calamity like no rain, something like that. The minimum price which they will get from the government no matter what happens.
Why is it given?
To secure the farmers' production, to secure the farmers' that
See, basically, it is self-explanatory. It is a price offered or fixed by the government to the farmers in order to procure the grains from them. So it's a price at which government will buy grains from the farmers, farm produce. Why is it? It is to support them. And it is minimum. Minimum is that will set a minimum benchmark so that the price of any such commodity will not fall below that. Supposing the farmer is not getting, for example, I am a farmer. I am growing rice. This time I had golden harvest. For farm activities, என்ன பிரச்சனை வரும்னா Supposing in a region, the Tanjore region, all farmers are having golden harvest. Usually, 1 acre we get 100 bags of rice. This time, total 100 bags of rice in which means rice is now oversupplied. And agricultural goods are perishable. So you cannot hold them unless you have storage facility. So as a result, every farmer will be desperate to sell it and make money because they have to get the money back, whatever they have invested. If there is a golden harvest and if there are more supply, then obviously there will be negotiations and the buyers will resist buying. So the farmers may end up losing money. In order to save the farmers, the government will give them a promise. Look, if anything untoward happens, we will buy, the government will buy the grains from you at this price, and this price is known as minimum support price. So the government will declare the minimum support price before the sowing season. Right? In order to protect the farmers from the market fluctuations. 1. 2. MSP is also declared or provided, MSP is also marked in order to ensure the cropping pattern. For instance, last year, all farmers in a particular region had paddy and paddy was doing extremely well. They got huge money, profit loss. Next year, obviously, other farmers will also be, only few farmers went for paddy and they had big price and they are now rich. But next year, subsequently, there will be a herd mentality that all farmers will come to in a market-driven approach. ஒன்றும் இல்லை, ரொம்ப சிம்பிள்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. சப்போசிங் இப்போ இந்த அட்வர்டைஸ்மெண்ட்ஸ் போடுறாங்க, இப்போ ஒரு கம்பெனி ஒன்று இருக்கு, இப்போ துவரா அப்படின்னு DVARA, digital company. They are now they are app company. So Dora app and search பண்ணி பார்த்தா தெரியும். What they are trying to do is they are trying to bring about some kind of the என்ன சொல்றது, மாட்டுக்கு ஆதார் கார்டு கொடுக்குறாங்க. Cattle, like Alauddin Khilji, what he did, they tried to give a kind of unique identity number for the cattle as well, and cattle insurance எல்லாம் விற்கிறாங்க. Likewise, the market can influence the farmers. Right? The big corporates, for example, the biscuit companies like Britannia, they'll say we are going for multi-grain biscuits. So we want quality wheat, we want quality this gram, that gram is solra. The farmers may, one or few farmers may get into that, and one particular area they may get more profit. So next year, என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க? Let us assume I'm a farmer, I went for wheat and I sold it to Britannia. Britannia company gave me standards and they funded me. So now that particular year I had good profit, whereas Andron, who happens to be my neighbor or my cousin, he went for paddy and he lost money in export. Then what he will tell is, what I will advise him is, where Shaman, you come with me. I'll take you to the Britannia company. They will fund for your fertilizer. They will fund for your watering. They'll give you loan for motor. They will also help you. Agriculture university, the specialists and experts are also, expert assistance is also given to you. But they are more important. Your cropping is very important for them because it is raw material for their produce. And unak vela kammi. On the other hand, assured purchase. There's a possibility that he will also join. He will not be quiet. He will bring Manivannan together. He will not be quiet. He will bring Nitesh. As a matter of fact, what happens, the whole region will go for one particular crop instead of variety of crops. This will be affecting the soil because agriculture is subjected to law of diminishing returns. And this is also going to create the same old problem of golden harvest. If all the farmers are going to golden harvest, Britannia may choose to reject few So you have to protect the cropping pattern as well. Minimum support prices declared. Data. Check. So this minimum support price is fixed on the basis of composite input price index by the CACP. What is CACP? What is CACP? Economic நான் சொல்லக்கூடாதுப்பா. The Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices. CACP. The CACP assists the government to fix the MSP. And while recommending, the CACP will follow, so that will observe certain factors: the demand and supply of the commodity, the cost of production, the market trends with respect to that commodity, intercrop price parity, meaning what is the price parity between one crop and other crop. The terms of trade between agriculture and non-agricultural prices. Because while doing agriculture, a farmer will not only be spending upon agricultural, seed mattum illa, non-agricultural inputs and farm outputs irukla adu. And then likely implications of MSPs on consumers. These are the factors taken into account, and MSP is fixed. And MSP is fixed for 7 types of cereals, 5 types of pulses, 7 oil seeds, and 4 commercial crops. And this MSP was one of the main reasons which the farm laws were about to abolish. The farm laws that are repealed, formula repealing. This is one of the main reasons. MSP enna agungradha question. The farmers opposed the farm laws because of this as well. Seriya? It's very simple. So MSP is patho. What is MSP? Because it's continuously it was in use. Go to the economy book. Read that. If economy current affairs, more details have come in the current affairs as well. But yet, go to the economy book and find out what is MSP. It's very important. Since farm laws have been repealed, I have not told the detail, but I give it to you as an assignment. Find out how a law is repealed in India. And I like this. Tomorrow's class we shall discuss about that. But you find out what is repealing of an act and how is a law repealed. So next is corporatization of this ordnance factories. So now the Ordnance Factory Board has been restructured and replaced by Ordnance Directorate Coordination and Services. That I suppose you know it. That I suppose you know it because Ordnance Factories Board there is the Mari. So there were 3 important committees which recommended for the reorganization. One was the TKS Nair Committee in 2000, the year 2000. Second is Vijay Kelkar Committee of 2005. And Vice Admiral Raman Puri Committee in 2015. I'll share that to you. I'll share that to you. So the 3 committees which recommended for the reorganization may be asked. There were also E.R. Sheikh, an Indian Ordnance Factory Service Officer of 1984 batch. He is the first Director General of the Directorate of the new structure, Ordnance Directorate Coordination and Services. He is a DG of Ordnance Services Directorate, Ordnance Directorate Coordination Services. இவர் பேர் கேட்கலாம்ப்பா. இதை தாண்டி இதுல வேற எதுவும் கிடையாது. Prelims-ல கேட்கிறது. Next, the Ordnance Factory Board was dissolved and all assets were transferred to the newly. அதே மாதிரி the 41 ordnance factories were merged or replaced by 7 ordnance factories. 41 to 7. The Munition Limited, Armored Vehicles Nigam, Advanced Weapons and Equipments Limited India, Troop Comforts Limited, Yantra India Limited, Indian Optel Limited, Gliders India Limited. All the 41 ordnance factories have been merged and they've been brought to only 7. So this can be a statement question. There can be a question on who was the person, who is who la keklam. Here Sheikh. Adutta statement questions la these committees recommended and 41 to 7. The number is important. Better. Sir. And mains la, what will be the implication of this reform? This could be more for your mains as well. Prelims like that much only it can be asked. But in mains, they can ask you the corporatization of ordnance factories, the 7 new PSUs. Why are they going for PPP mode? And what is the logic behind the corporatization of the corporatization? Very simple. They have been converted into companies and they are now allowed to go for the defense ministry or defense production. They are allowed to go in for public-private partnership. And these companies are also new reforms. For example, because of the Supreme Court guidelines with respect to bursting of crackers and all, the Shivagasi cracker industry is now becoming, they are getting into doldrums. Their business is lost. But why can't we convert them into, because they will have defense and the ammunition license, gunpowder license, explosive license. Why can't we have the explosive license holders? Why can't they be diverted into defense manufacturing? But new things are coming up. So mains they can ask you why this reform. I'll share a PPT to you. There are few points in that. Just read them. Tomorrow I shall consolidate and then go to the next one. Mains I don't want to explain to you in full. Why reforms? There is also criticism against this kind of reform. Because what is the point in bringing in the proposed corporations? The corporations are the companies. How are you going to coordinate? All these 7 companies are there in different parts of India. Geographically, they are spread. So, problems are also there. You just read them. Tomorrow, I'll consolidate before I go to the next topic tomorrow morning. But I'll share this to you today. The next one. Hypersonic missiles. See, China has tested its first ever nuclear capable hypersonic missile. Only 3 countries are developing hypersonic missiles as of now. 3 countries claim that they have hypersonic missiles. One is US, Russia, and China. Other countries who have the capability for developing hypersonic missiles are Australia, India, France, Germany, and Japan. Check. What are hypersonic missiles? Hypersonic missiles are those missiles which can travel at a speed more than that of sound. At least 2-3 times they've asked this question. What is a Mach? M-A-C-H, Mach. Mach is a ratio of the speed of a projectile as against the speed of sound. If a projectile can travel at a speed of sound, it is said to travel by a speed of 1 Mach. Right? So hypersonic missiles are missiles that can travel at speed of Mach. more than 1 Mach. Other hypersonic missile. The China's missile, it is claimed that it can fly at the speed of about 5 Mach. It can fly at the speed which is 5 times the speed of sound. Sure. They use scramjet engines. See, prelims already they have asked. What is the Mach? 3 times they have asked. What is a scramjet engine? They have asked. Scramjet engines are nothing but those engines which carry only the fuel but take oxygen from the atmosphere for oxidation and combustion. So such engines are called as scramjet engines. The scramjet engines are used in order to increase the payload capacity of the missile. If the fuel and oxidizer both are to be carried by the missile, the missile's payload capacity is reduced. Payload capacity, the ability, how much weight the missile can carry. As much as the missile's weight, self-weight must be lesser so that it can carry more ammunition. Missile rocket missile rocket ammunition ammunition self-weight is that's why they use scramjet engines. Scramjet engine and ramjet engine. And it is also a ballistic missile. And you know what is a ballistic missile? A ballistic missile is projected while climbing up in the air, it uses fuel. But when it comes to falling down, it will have a free fall out of the gravitational pull. Such missile is called as a ballistic missile. So again, ballistic missile, use fuel will be half the fuel is enough. So you know the projectile theory, you must have studied the projectiles as part of your 12th standard physics. They take a parabolic path. For example, the range of, the angle of firing, the angle of projection, that determines the range. When the angle of projection is 45 degrees, it reaches the maximum range. But depending upon your target, you fix the angle of the projection of the missile. So the missile will automatically be guided through to the target if it is reaching the maximum point, the peak point, and then it will fall. So scramjet engines does away the need for carrying oxidizers. The ballistic nature of the missile reduces the need for full capacity of the fuel instead of half capacity. So that will increase the payload capacity of the missile. As a result, the missile striking capability increases. The ability of the missile to cause destruction will be greater. So that is the hypersonic missile being tested by China. So what is a hypersonic missile? What is a ballistic missile? They've asked. Then India, there is a missile called Nirbhay. A derivative of Nirbhay was tested in 2021. The cruise missile. Just to have that same scramjet engine, ballistic missile. So India also tested the indigenous technology cruise missile. And right, what is a cruise missile? Now, what the question? Now, what is a cruise missile? See, cruise missile is a missile. There are two types of missiles. If Agnila cruise missile, BrahMos is a cruise missile. A cruise missile is one that has its complete trajectory within the atmosphere. It will never get out of the atmosphere. Space power. Only when the missile goes to space, it will have re-entry technology, and that is used in order to save the time to cover longer distance. Have you studied about something called as frame of reference? What is it? You're traveling in a train. You find a housefly sitting on your hand. The fly just flies. There is no connection between, as long as the fly was sitting on your hand, you were sitting on the train, therefore the train, the fly was sitting in the train. But once the fly is in air, train move ஆகுதுல. So fly இப்படி இருக்கு, train move ஆகும்போது முட்டணும்ல. Why it moves like this? Assume this is the fly. Meaning, both the fly and the train and you are all in the same frame of reference. The whole frame is moving. So within the atmosphere, a cruise missile and the target will be in the same frame of reference. அப்ப distance cover பண்ண முடியாது, speed தான் increase பண்ணும். Generally, cruise missiles are BrahMos number supersonic missile. BrahMos is a supersonic missile and it has sea skimming capability in slow. Sea skimming na surface le po, sea surface otti po, so that it can be used as anti-submarine missile also. And ship hull adiyad, it will hit the base of the ship, so its destruction capability will be greater. The ship is floating, the missile goes and hits the base of the ship. Idella the technology advantage. Now, if you take Agni, Agni is a re-entry technology missile. It will go into the space. Once the missile gets into the space, it is no more connected to Earth. Now the missile will observe the Earth from another frame. So the Earth rotation, the Earth's rotation will give the advantage for the missile to cover distance. So if you want to fly to USA from India to Washington, it takes 23 hours. Right? But for Agni missile, it takes only 3 minutes. How? 1 minute, it gets into space. 1 minute, it observes. Another 1 minute, it falls down. Finished. I hope you understand. Whereas cruise missiles are those missiles, an aircraft flying, aeroplane with the cruising speed, because it goes only within the atmosphere. All right, I hope it's clear to you.
Yes, sir.
So a cruise missile operates only within the atmosphere, whereas a ballistic missile uses the engine power to climb up but falls in the influence of gravity. Right? Take care of that. There were 4 important languages that were in use for different reasons. Pashto language, Balti language, Farsi, these 3 languages. These 3 languages, Kashmir. Why they were in use? The Pakistani army as well as Pakistani defense forces as well as the Pakistani terrorist organizations, they were found to use in every sentence in their communication. They were found to use Pashto, Balti, Farsi, and certain languages like Dongri and Hindi to pass informations secretly. That was decoded by the Indian Army. அது ஒரே சென்டென்ஸ்ல இப்படி யோசிச்சுக்கோ, ஒரே சென்டென்ஸ்ல दोनों भाषा பின்ன மலையாளம் கூட குறைச்சு அப்படின்னு யூஸ் பண்ணா எப்படி இருக்கும்? ஒண்ணுமே புரியாதுல்ல, என்னடா நடக்குதுங்கன்னு. The sentence has 10 words. First word will be Pashto, second will be Balti, third will be Farsi, fourth word will be Dogri, fifth word will be Hindi. They began to communicate like this. So that was found to be interrupted and that was successfully decoded by Indian Army. Directed from military intelligence. இது ரொம்ப சின்ன நியூஸா வந்துச்சு. But here point is try to understand where the origin of these languages. Pashto is a Iranian branch of Indo-Aryan languages. Balti language is a Tibetic language, which is spoken in the Baltistan region of Gilgit, Nubra Valley in Pakistan, Leh district in India, Kargil in India. The Farsi is a Persian language. It is spoken in Afghanistan and Tajikistan. And in Kashmir, all these three languages are spoken. Kashmir, there are about 8 languages. People of Kashmir are found to speak 8 languages: Kashmiri, Hindi, Dogri, Gujri, Ladakhi, Pahadi, Balti, and Urdu. Just know this. It could be asked in prelims only. No big importance for main setup. It's a very simple news, but relating to Indian defense, that's why I'm taking this. Next one, sometimes the questions are asked from commemorative stamps that are released. Commemorative stamps. This time, a few I have taken and some more I'll give you in the subsequent classes. Deccan College. Deccan College. This is the third oldest education institution in India. It is celebrating its bicentenary, 200th year. It was first started as Hindu college. This college was started by the Bombay Presidency government. It was started in 1821 by the British Presidency government. The Bombay Presidency government. And the Bombay Presidency British government started the college as a Hindu college, which was later renamed as Deccan College. It is now celebrating its 200th year. History. In 1851, it was called as Pune College, and in 1864, it was renamed as. Check. What were the steps taken by the British for educating India? Which were the different committees? And which were the education institutions that were started in Maharashtra or the then Bombay Presidency during freedom struggle? Not necessarily they have to ask this only. There is no necessity for the UPSC to ask directly what is Deccan College or what is all about it. They did not ask about it. They can ask about the educational development in Maharashtra, Bombay Presidency, and the educational institutions that were set up in Bombay Presidency during freedom struggle. So take care of them, and I need them tomorrow when you come. All right. Education. The next one is Solapur martyrs. The Solapur martyrs, a commemorative stamp was released. When Gandhi was arrested after the civil disobedience movement, a meeting was conducted in Solapur of Maharashtra where freedom fighters, there are about 3 freedom fighters, 4 freedom fighters who organized a campaign, mass protest organized பண்றாங்க, in which the police, they the police inspector, he shot even small children to death. அவங்களுக்கு 90 years கமெமரேட் பண்ணி ஒரு ஸ்டாம்ப் வெளியிட்டிருக்காங்க. That's enough. Over Solapur martyrs. What is that? பார்த்துக்கலாம். That much is enough. Eta Mallappa Daneshetti, Kurban Hussain, Jagannath Shinde and Kisan Sardar. It is equivalent to Chauri Chaura incident, where these people went and burnt the police station. Civil disobedience movement. This much is enough. This is a very, very minor news. It may be asked, may not be asked. But just I don't want to leave it in. So the path, right? So this much. Remaining, we shall discuss tomorrow. So in I'm sharing those with you. I think you got the PPT yesterday, whatever I shared with you, right?
Yes.
Check whether you got the PPT for today.